June 5th, 1944, midnight. A Spanish man sits alone in a London safe house, staring at a coded telegram in his trembling hands. In 12 hours, 156,000 Allied soldiers will storm the beaches of Normandy. And if the Nazis discover what he's been doing for the past 4 years, they'll be slaughtered before they reach the sand. His name is Juan Pujol García, and he's the greatest liar who ever lived. This is the untold story of the double agent who fooled Hitler, saved DDay, and then vanished without a trace. 1941, Barcelona, Spain. Juan Pujol García was nobody, a failed chicken farmer, a mediocre hotel manager, a man with no military training, no intelligence experience, and no connections. But he had something else. He hated fascism. While Europe burned under Nazi occupation, Juan made a decision that would have gotten most men killed. He would become a spy. Not for money, not for glory, for principle. There was just one problem. Nobody wanted him. He walked into the British embassy in Madrid, offered his services. They laughed him out. He tried the Americans, rejected. The French resistance, ignored. So Juan did something insane. If the Allies wouldn't let him spy for them, he'd spy for the Nazis and then betray them from the inside. Alone, with no training, no backup, he contacted German intelligence, told them he could travel to England and recruit a spy network. They said yes. What the Nazis didn't know, Juan never set foot in Britain. From a tiny room in Lisbon, Portugal, Juan Pujol García began constructing the most elaborate lie in espionage history. Using a tourist guide to England, a map of the London rail system, and a Portuguese public library, he invented an entire fictional spy ring. He created fake sub-agents, gave them names, personalities, backstories. A Venezuelan student in Glasgow, a Welsh fascist in the Royal Air Force, a Swiss businessman in Liverpool. None of them existed. But the reports he sent to Berlin, they were masterpieces. Detailed, convincing, packed with just enough real information pulled from newspapers and newsreels to seem legitimate. The Nazis loved him, codenamed him Arabelle, paid him in cash, and Juan used every penny to keep the lie alive. But there was a problem. The British were starting to notice. German U-boats were changing patrol routes based on intelligence from a mysterious new source. MI5 launched a manhunt. They were hunting for a Nazi spy in England, a spy who didn't exist. When they finally traced the reports back to Lisbon, they couldn't believe it. This wasn't a Nazi agent. This was a gift. In 1942, British intelligence smuggled Juan into London, gave him a new code name, Garbo, and turned his fake spy network into the most powerful deception weapon of the war. Now he had real intelligence, real support, and one mission: make the Nazis believe anything the Allies wanted them to believe. By 1944, Hitler trusted Garbo more than his own generals, and the Allies were planning the largest amphibious invasion in history. But the Germans knew it was coming. They just didn't know where. Normandy? Calais? Norway? If they guessed right and moved their Panzer divisions to the correct beaches, D-Day would be a massacre. So British intelligence gave Juan the most dangerous assignment of his life: convince Hitler the invasion would happen at Calais, not Normandy. For months, Juan's fake agents sent reports, troop movements near Dover, phantom tanks, phantom armies, all pointing to Calais. But the Nazis were suspicious. They wanted proof, so Juan did the unthinkable. On June 6, 1944, hours before the Normandy landings, he sent an urgent message to Berlin. Massive invasion fleet heading toward Normandy. The truth. His handlers in London thought he'd lost his mind, but Juan knew exactly what he was doing. The message arrived too late for the Germans to respond, but it proved Garbo was reliable. And 3 days later, when the Nazis were preparing to send reinforcements to Normandy, Juan sent another message. Normandy is a diversion. The real invasion is still coming at Calais. Hitler believed him. He held back 2 entire panzer divisions. For 7 weeks, elite German forces sat idle 150 miles away, waiting for an invasion that would never come. By the time they realized the truth, the Allies had secured the beaches. D-Day succeeded, and Juan Pujol García had just saved thousands of lives. After the war, the Nazis awarded Garbo the Iron Cross for his loyal service to the Third Reich. The British gave him the Member of the Order of the British Empire. He's the only person in history to receive top honors from both sides. But Juan didn't want fame. In 1949, he faked his own death, moved to Venezuela, and disappeared. For decades, the world thought he was gone. It wasn't until 1984, nearly 40 years later, that a researcher tracked him down, alive, running a small bookstore in Caracas. When asked why he vanished, Juan said simply, "I did what I had to do. The rest didn't matter." Juan Pujol García died in 1988. No state funeral, no monument, no parade. Just a quiet man who once fooled the most powerful military machine in history with nothing but words, courage, and a library card. Military historians now believe his deception work shortened the war in Europe by months, saved tens of thousands of lives, and yet most people have never heard his name. History remembers the generals, the soldiers, the battles, but it often forgets the ones who fought in the shadows, the ones who risked everything, not for medals or glory, but because they believed some things are worth lying for, some things are worth dying for, and some things are worth disappearing for. That is the untold spirit.